Today, we're going to be looking at a 12-unit multifamily deal in Connecticut. The property was built in 1880, which is honestly pretty crazy, is located in New London, and is allegedly listed at a 7.67% cap rate. We'll get into whether that's real or not in a second. The property is asking $925K. Is it worth it? New London is a small city of 30,000 people located on the coastline of Connecticut, right near the Rhode Island border. Like I've been telling you guys, the small markets are where all the deals are. There are several large employers in the area, most notably General Dynamics Electric Boat, who recently made headlines for their massive hiring spree. The property itself is well located, seconds from downtown New London, across the street from Dunkin' Donuts, 1 mile from the New London Shopping Center, which is anchored by Burlington and Harbor Freight, and 1.3 miles from the New London Mall, a 260,000 square foot open air center that's anchored by ShopRite, Home Goods, Marshalls, and PetSmart. So what's the business plan with this deal? Allegedly, it's a value add deal with upside in the rents, but that's how every deal is marketed. Let's dive into the numbers to see if that's true. Here's the rent roll provided by the broker and the profit and loss statement provided by the broker. You can see in the rent roll here that there's a slight quirk in that one of the 12 units is actually currently an office, not multifamily. We'll get into that more in a second. Moving on to the income and expenses, you can see that for once, the broker actually put in a reasonable expense load. They include a vacancy rate, and with total income of 144K, the NOI is only 71K. So it's around a 50% NOI margin, which is extremely reasonable. And by the way, this whole OM, or offering memorandum, is actually really good. For property selling for under $1 million, you usually get a package that's 2 pages long. It's a PDF. It's not formatted correctly. This is the opposite. This OM is 18 pages long, immaculately formatted, and includes pretty much everything you need to know, ranging from market data to property information to property pictures. But even though this is all very well put together by the broker, we're still going to need a model, put it in our model, and vet it ourselves. This deal is an interesting one, given there's a few hairy aspects to it. The first is that there's an office, right? And if you look in the rent roll, they have an office here. The office is actually currently vacant in their OM. They show it as being occupied, but it's actually currently vacant. There's also an illegal unit on the first floor for one of the buildings. So there's basically 2 units that are actually currently down right now and not operational as multifamily. So that'll be important. We'll need to put in money and time to get there. Because of that, I've actually laid out 3 scenarios here. One is no renovations. Second one is no renovations using hard money. And the third is renovations. I know a lot of you are struggling with finding deals right now. Some of you are looking to find your first deal and are having trouble knowing where to start. Others of you have bought a few deals and are looking to scale. I've been in both those places before, having scaled from a $2,500 investment on my first triplex to over $30 million AUM. I've created the Acquisitions Bootcamp, which is an 8-week one-on-one program where I show you how to solve those problems so you can purchase profitable deals. The results have been insane. You can see some of the testimonials and closed deals flashing on the screen here. Most recently, Matt made $1 million on a deal in about a year. I made a full video on that on my profile. If you'd like to set up a call to discuss if the program is the right fit for you, you can do that in the link in the description. So we'll start off with the first scenario and in the kind of broker provided numbers. So the broker provided numbers, right? They had slightly different numbers than what we have, right? They have an office, they show it being occupied. In reality, it's vacant. That means that the lender is not going to give you credit for that, and you're not going to have any money coming in because it's actually vacant, right? So that's the reason why you'll see a different NOI here than they have listed in their OM. That's really the main difference there. Everything else is pretty similar. You see the expenses are off by like 1,000 or so, that just because management's a bit lower here because the revenue is a bit lower. That's really it. Everything else is staying pretty consistent overall. So basically what's happening here is purchase price 925. We're assuming that's the ask. So we'll assume that's the price for right now. We're going to need to put some reserves in, right? Even a non-renovation scenario, mainly because the NOI is just basically barely paying for the debt service right now. And then you need to put in money to convert the office, right, to multifamily and to get the first floor legal unit back up to code, right? So get the C of O there. So that's what that 125K is for. Roughly 20K in deal cost to get that done means you're into the deal for roughly 1.1 million. The debt on this deal will be a bit interesting, right? Because it's a non-renovation scenario, but the DSCR is actually pretty low on the in-place. It's roughly a 1x. This would be a negotiation with the bank to see if you can kind of just plug these reserves in and get to that 1.2 there, so you don't have to take on hard money. That would be a negotiation. That's definitely not guaranteed, but that's kind of how it's underwritten right now. Basic terms, 7% interest rate on the debt, 25-year amortization. You could argue maybe you could do 30-year amortization, but we'll leave it there for now. And maybe you could probably do 6.5 interest rate on the debt right now, but we'll leave it there to be conservative. And basically what's happening is you're taking the rents from 887 on the in-place on average, right? And that's also counting some of the vacancy there, and bringing it to 1275 stabilized. Remember, we're not renovating the other units in this scenario. All we're doing is bringing the office to multifamily and the illegal unit up to code, and bringing the unrenovated units up to the unrenovated market rent. So all those units that have not been renovated yet, bringing those up to the unrenovated market rent, not to the renovated market rent, but up a little bit just to that unrenovated number. A lot of those are currently below market. So that's all that's happening here. It's a non-renovation scenario. That's why these rents are a little low. Expenses are going to move a little bit, but not too much. You'll see here, really pretty consistent. And you'll get to an NOI margin of kind of mid 50s, which is about where this product should operate. One thing you could kind of argue is that the R&M here is a little bit low at 500 a unit. We do have 3,000 of reserves in there though, so I think that evens it out. And you end up with a 2.1x DSCR and 9% stabilized yield. So that's pretty good, right? You have 150 basis points, roughly 140 basis points here of compression, gets you 145K in profit or so, in a deal that really shouldn't be that difficult because you're not renovating units. So there's not that much that goes into it, which means that you're kind of able to accept a slightly lower return than you'd accept if you were fully renovating the entire property, right? In this case, all that's happening is the office is being converted and the illegal units getting converted to market, right? So if there's not that much risk in the deal, right, compared to a full renovation scope, and that's just a lot more work. So you're going to end up with a lower profit here, but still healthy profit on a deal that's generally pretty good, right? And you can see the sale per unit here is just at like 110 a key, really not too aggressive at all. So that's kind of the base case scenario if you didn't renovate and you're not taking on hard money. Now let's move to the next scenario, right? Here we're going to assume that you do take on hard money, even though you're not renovating. So in this scenario, right, the numbers are going to change slightly, mainly just because of the debt here, right? You can see the difference in the debt, 936K versus 555K, right? Big difference there. That's kind of driving a lot of it. And really what you'll see is it's not that good of an option, right? You're going to need more reserves because of the debt, right? You can see here the NOI is roughly 50K, right? Same as it was in this scenario. But instead of the debt service being 47K, 48K, you now have more than doubled, right? So you're going to need more reserves here, and then you're executing the same business plan. But those extra reserves really translate to lower profit here. And that's really what's occurring is you're basically sacrificing that. You're putting in less equity overall, right? 234K of equity versus the 545. So it's requiring less equity, but your overall profit's going to be lower. The equity multiple, though, is going to stay approximately the same. And your stabilized yield is going to drop a bit once again because you're putting in more money in reserves here. So that's weighing down the stabilized yield a little bit. So overall, I don't think this is a good risk reward taking on hard money here. You're coming to the same equity multiple, right? The profit is actually lower, right? And your stabilized yield's also lower, right? So you're actually stabilizing to a lower number. So if rates do move, you're in a little bit more risk, right? There might be something that might happen, right? You have under 100 basis points of compression here, of spread here, sorry, between the stabilized yield and the exit cap rate, right? So you're taking on a lot more risk because of the way this debt is structured. Remember, bridge debt, the main difference between bridge debt and bank debt is one, shorter term, right? It's going to be a 12 to 36 month term versus bank debt, which is 5-year typically. It's going to be higher leverage, right? You can see here 80% LTC versus bank debt, which is going to cap out at 75% of the purchase price. You're going to have a higher interest rate, right? 12% here versus 7% on the bank debt. And it is interest only though, which helps. But those are kind of the main things there. So you're taking more risk in that the interest rate's higher, your total debt load is higher, right? And you have a shorter time frame to pay it back. So you're taking a lot more risk and you're actually stabilizing lower. You have a lower spread here. So you're not really getting rewarded on the back end for that risk you're taking. So I don't love this structure at all. This is, I would say, don't structure the deal like this. And this is one of the reasons why you want to run through all these scenarios, is to understand what's the best way to structure this deal in terms of risk reward. So as of right now, I'd say we want to structure the no renovation scenario without hard money versus with hard money, because you're not getting much here. You're basically getting the same exact profit with more risk. And then moving on to kind of the next scenario here, this is assuming we do renovate. So as you can see, unlike in the other scenarios where the rent's capped out at $1,275, now we're hitting roughly $1,500 rents. So pretty big difference there. Obviously, the renovation dollars are going to be different as well, right? You're putting another 165K. So your total basis in the deal is going to be higher, 1.23 versus here where we are at 1.1 and here we're at 1.17, right? So you basically have a different basis in the deal, and depending on how you structure it. And in this case, it's going to be the highest basis, but you're also going to get the highest rents, right? So that's kind of how it's structured right now. We're assuming roughly 15K unit here for the renovations, which you should be able to accomplish it for that number. The debt load staying roughly the same again. Really, the main difference is going to be the management fee taking up a bit, but debt load staying roughly the same as it should. And your NOI margin is going to be a little bit higher just because you're getting more top line rent. So that's really the reason for that. Overall, this is actually a lot better, right? You're putting in 675K of equity. So it's actually the most equity you're putting in. Remember, here we had 234K and here we had 545K. So it's the most equity you're putting in, but you're also getting the most profit, right? 375K profit. And you also have the equity multiple being higher as well. So those are both very attractive, but the most attractive thing is that your stabilized yield is actually higher, right? So you're getting that 10% stabilized yield instead of between 8 and 9%, which was the case in the other two scenarios. So you are doing more work here, obviously, right? You're renovating another 11 units or so that you wouldn't have to renovate in the other case. But at the same time, right, you're getting paid for that. The one thing I will say is you're creeping up here a bit on the exit basis at 140 a unit, but you do have the cash flow here to kind of back that up, right? And if you look at the overall cash flow compared to your equity, right, worst case scenario here, you actually have a 12% cash on cash you could just hold. So that's actually really decent, especially in a deal like this. And because of that, I think this deal will actually end up trading for around ask. My guess is they're going to get 10 plus offers on this, and it's going to go above ask, just because there is margin in the deal, right? Exit cap rate 7.5. You basically have almost 300 basis points of spread here. People are going to jump on this. So I do think this deal will go quickly. I think it's listed actually about right compared to where it should be. And you can see, you guys, if you want to test me out, follow up with the broker, see where it ends up listing at and selling at, sorry. And you'll see it sells for probably around this price, if not a bit higher. And it's because this spread is here, and really because most people are going to plan on the renovation scenario. I do think it's really useful to go through each of these scenarios, though, just so you understand why you're doing it a certain way, right? Because sometimes it actually makes more sense not to renovate. Sometimes it does make sense to take out hard money. In this case, it actually makes sense to renovate and to go through with the entire business plan. If you don't know, the Acquisitions Bootcamp is an 8-week program where you work one-on-one with me to craft an investment strategy to fit your skills, resources, and goals, and then find you a deal to fit that strategy. So it's for beginners and owners looking to scale. If you're interested in that, you can apply to that below.